All right, everybody, welcome back to the Steel City Blitz Steelers Podcast presented by DEK Roofing Incorporated of South Florida. And I would like to just send out my very best to Matt, who has been hassling the hell out of me for the last several days about where's the show about the second and third day of the draft? Where's the second show about the second and third day of the draft? And all this other stuff. So, Matt, if you're so bored that you actually listen to us, you're getting what you want. And and here to help me along with it are Ellie and Ben. And Ellie, how are you tonight?
I'm not too bad. How are you?
I am good. I am good. Now, obviously, you know the things we do on this show. We usually are having some form of an adult beverage, but you may be just settling for some tea this evening.
Just some tea, yes. Keeping it strictly British.
Very, very British, very British. And Ben is likely keeping it very Irish. A little whiskey tonight, Ben.
Yeah.
Excellent. And who knows what Ian's doing? I have no idea. He had something going on tonight. So anyway, we are going to take you through, and we know that it's been a few days, but you haven't gotten our thoughts, and we know that quite frankly, until you get our thoughts, you really can't take any move forward. So, we're going to go through days 2 and 3 and probably circle back a little bit to day 1 as well, with Najee Harris being picked by the Steelers. And, we were kind of talking a little bit before we started recording, and Ben said, this is sometimes one of our more contentious shows because, and then there's some truth to that, because we just don't always agree on how the Steelers did things in the draft, and that I think is going to be the case again. So get ready for a very fun, interesting evening with us, ladies and gentlemen. So let's just jump into this. The Pittsburgh Steelers, of course, drafted Najee Harris, number 1 overall, at pick 24. Ellie, what was your feeling as the evening wore on? It looked more and more like he was going to be there. How do you feel about this pick?
It was very unsurprising, I think, for most people. So as the night wore on, as we saw O-lineman going, and obviously the first few being like QBs and stuff, I knew that it was more than likely that we were going to be picking him. So I wasn't surprised, and I wasn't unhappy with it either, to be honest, even though I know I've been sort of saying how much I wanted to address the O-line in the first round. Right. I had kind of come to the conclusion that wasn't happening.
So it was. I'm trying to think of a good analogy. It's kind of like it's like you're getting a new car for your birthday, and you're extremely excited, and your dad says, "Okay, it's out in the driveway. Let's go look." And you go out there, and it's just not quite what you expected. You're excited, but you're just not quite 100%. So does that make sense? Is that the way you felt a little bit?
If a good way to use the car analogy, it's a brand new car that needs 4 new tires. That's kind of how it felt. Like it was like,
no.
It's a wonderful car, but it needs some extra things. Those tires being O-linemen. Like that was.
I see where you're now. Yeah. Now I get what you're saying.
I didn't like the pick, as you guys know, and I will be the first one to admit Najee Harris is an outstanding talent. He's outstanding. Yes. I didn't like the pick because Tomlin tends to run the wheels off running backs in 5 years, and you don't do that. You don't take a guy in the first round who you're going to keep around for 5 years. That makes no sense. The guys that Colbert has picked that were foundational type picks are the guys you want in the first round. Casey Hampton, Troy Polamalu, Ben Roethlisberger, Keith Miller, Lawrence Timmons even. He played for a decade. Not Rashard Mendenhall. Certainly not Ziggy Hood. Marquise Pouncey, Cam Hayward. He's on his 3rd contract. That's a foundational type guy. That's the guy you want in the first round. David DeCastro. And DeCastro really is the most recent one. I mean, Bud We got a couple good years out of Bud, and he deserved another contract in Pittsburgh, but the money wasn't there.
Right.
Artie Burns was a miserable failure. I don't think that Najee will be a bust. I think he's a Ferrari. He really is. But if you're only going to get 100,000 miles out of that Ferrari, 50,000 miles out of the Ferrari.
Yeah.
I mean, are you really ready to plunk down $1.5 million for it? I'm not. I mean, I'm just thinking out loud here. I just think they could have gone a different direction. That's all.
So just looking at the draft, there were some linemen available at that time. Obviously, you had both of the top centers, I should say, Creed Humphrey, Landon Dickerson was there. And when I say top with
Myers.
him, Myers was there, but you also had Tevin Jenkins was there.
Yep.
So
although Tevin Jenkins is a pure right tackle, and they didn't really need a right tackle.
Right. But I guess I'm looking at it from a fan perspective here. Where would you have gone there, Ben? If
I would have traded back.
Yeah. Well,
I would have done
that it takes
everything under the sun.
Yeah.
I know it does. It does. If I had to take a pick, I probably would have gone with the best available tackle. And, that would have been Samuel Cosme in my mind. Mm-hmm. But that isn't necessarily, the way the Steelers felt about it. They felt like Harris was a better overall talent. And to be perfectly honest, they're right. He is. Again, my issue is just that. No, it's the fact that Tomlin is going to run 5 years. He's done. The Emmitt Smiths and the Adrian Petersons and the Frank Gores, the guys that have longevity, and Jerome Bettis, guys that have longevity are the exception now in the NFL. They are not the rule, especially when you're talking about Mike Tomlin. Every running back he's ever had, Le'Veon Bell, is a shadow of himself since he left the Steelers. Mm-hmm. Mike Tomlin runs their wheels off. 400 touches a year, 5 years, they're done.
So, Ellie, if I said to you that Najee will only be there for 5 years, what would your expectation be in terms of overall team success? In terms of being able to say that, yes, it was worth drafting this guy, even though we only got in the first round, even though we only got 5 years out of it. I mean, what would you demand that they had a Super Bowl appearance? I mean, what would you say is successful there?
Well, I would say that by taking a playmaker and an offensive weapon, that you are indicating to everyone that you're in a win now mode. So if 5 years is all you get, then in 5 years, I would expect Super Bowl runs. I would expect some kind of payoff for that. So I guess that was the indication to me, was like, okay, we're going weapons first and protection second. So I would expect those output from those weapons, which I think he's more than capable of.
No, I agree with you. I think he is. Ben, go ahead. I know you want to say something.
I thought the same thing after the first round, that they were going to go in win now mode, and that they would take the best available lineman in the second round, which they didn't do. And we talked about this before. I think that Pat Freiermuth is that kind of a foundational player. He's a guy who I think will get a second contract, which is a little ridiculous to project for a second round rookie. But I think he can be that kind of a player. I also think that Eric Ebron blocking last year was a joke. They should just split him out on every snap now and, play 12 personnel, leave Freiermuth in there and have him block, because he actually can. And, it may help the line just having that extra guy in there to block on rundowns. I also think that Harris will help the line in as much as he has excellent vision, and he will find the hole and get through it and get positive yardage, where sometimes last year that wasn't the case. It didn't happen. But the offensive line last year had a big problem getting push. Big problem. It wasn't just a matter of not making space. They didn't get any push. They couldn't gain a yard forward. And I don't think that the offensive line is better after the draft. I do not. And we'll get into that
Yes.
When we get to the next pick.
Yes. Well, so we're on Pat Freiermuth. And look, this is my only opportunity to toot my horn because I called this one. This was the only one I had right in my mock draft. And the reason I had him in the second round was just simply because I thought he was going to fall there. There was a lot of talk early on. People liked him in the end of the first round for the Steelers. Maybe that was even too high, maybe right around 30, 35 spots, somewhere in there. I just kept looking at the board and I kept seeing quarterbacks and receivers and running backs. And I thought, you know what, he's going to fall to us. And he did. And I'm torn. I love the pick from the aspect that he was clearly the best tight end available, and a guy we needed to have for the reasons that Ben just pointed out. But I also understand 100% that people are upset that we did not go a more proven center or tackle there. So Ellie, where were you? You know, you said you were relieved, kind of expected Najee to be the pick. Where were you when they picked Freiermuth? What was your thought process there?
That one shocked me because don't correct me if I'm wrong because I forget, but was Humphrey still on the board?
Yes, he was.
It was Myers.
I thought that was going to be our second pick. I was almost pretty convinced. So I was a bit shocked when it turned out to be a tight end. I don't want to I'm not trying to sort of talk down on these guys. It's not their fault they were picked, but I'm just I was definitely shocked because I really believed that there was going to be here's the weapon, now let's provide the protection for that weapon. And I know what you were saying about tight ends being able to block, it does somewhat provide something, but I was really thinking there are some glaring holes here. We're not 100% set on who's going to be left tackle. I know how Ben feels about Zach Banner potentially being left tackle for going into the next season, and I think you're not alone in that kind of concern. And we didn't have a center at that point. There was Creed Humphrey. I believe Landon Dickerson had already gone, so I was a little bit shocked by that because of his injuries. So to see Creed Humphrey still on the board, I was thinking, that's a steal. Are we going to go for that? And we totally didn't, and I was shocked. Not to hate on Pat, that's what I'm saying, but I was shocked.
No, and I think you make a very good point, and it bears repeating that as we discuss these guys, this isn't about, say, not liking these individuals. Yeah. It's about where they fit, how we thought it would have gone, those types of things. Exactly. Yeah, Fryer, I mean, obviously we want nothing but the best for Pat Freiermuth and every single one of these guys. It's just simply a matter of looking at it from that position of what we thought was going to happen. So
the Steelers always draft thinking long term. And I know the first pick was not a long-term pick.
Right.
It was an immediate impact pick. And I still feel the way I felt about it. It's a Ferrari, but we're going to blow the engine out in 5 years. Freiermuth is going to be a backup for at least a year, potentially two. And then he'll develop into, the next starting tight end. So he's a foundational type pick, thinking of the future. Clancy, same thing. Dan Moore, same thing. The linebacker they took in the fourth, same thing. Buddy Johnson. Right. These are long-term. I don't want to call them projects, although Green is. But they're long-term type players where they're thinking about the future. They're not thinking about this year with those picks. They're thinking this guy can help us, but he's not going to be a huge contributor in 2021.
And is it fair to say, Ben, that you were of the mind that they needed guys, especially, let's say, in those first three selections, that had to be major contributors this year for this team to challenge?
I mean, typically the way you look at it is the first 3 rounds you're looking at starters. Yeah. And then on day 3, you're looking at guys that can potentially develop into starters or at least solid backups. You hope. Round 6 and 7, you're kind of taking flyers on guys.
Sure.
Where you're going, hey, this guy might he's got one outstanding quality, one outstanding trait that we think maybe we can develop into something else. And maybe if we prop up a few of his other traits, we can make it work. And he can fit into our team, like Vince Williams. He was compensatory 6, and that guy, that's a great story. I think he's going to retire a Steeler at this point. I mean, he'll play another year or 2 tops. He'll play for the league minimum both years if he plays for 2, and he'll still be a guy, that contributes all the time. Maybe just on first and second down, but he'll still be a guy.
Yeah, still. Yep.
He has those kinds of traits where typically the first 2 days, what you're really looking for is guys that aren't necessarily going to be immediate contributors, but have got enough special traits that they are going to be good starters when they develop into what they can be.
So why do you think, Ben, that they did not look at Humphrey and eventually led us into our third pick, which was Kendrick Green out of Illinois?
Because in the second round, they had a higher pick on Freiermuth. They had a high second, low first on him, is what I was told. And so they were like, we just can't pass this up. And this is what they do in the second round every damn year.
Yes, it is.
They go, second round, there's still a lot of value on the board. Where's the best value? We're taking that.
Yeah.
And, it drives me a little bonkers sometimes, but damn it if they don't always get a good player there. So I'm not going to bitch.
No, and that's the problem. I mean, it is a good player. Obviously, it's a guy that as you said, probably a number 2.
You guys remember how pissed off people were about the Deontay Johnson pick?
Yeah.
Oh,
I know he was a third rounder, but he was an early third.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
How angry people were about that, or how shocked they were about Juju.
Yes. Oh, I remember very well. Yeah.
Who the hell thought Stephon Tuitt would still be on the board in the second round? Well,
that too. I mean, he was pretty overwhelmingly consensus first rounder, if I recall.
Right.
Yeah. So, I like what Freiermuth will hopefully bring to them, because I agree Ebron doesn't block well at all. And I, if Freiermuth can do anything to hopefully control an edge, then I'm all for it. But
even if he just gets in the way for a second and a half.
Yes, I would take it.
And just doesn't let the guy go straight through or around him.
Yes, I agree.
It'll be 110 times better than what Ebron did last year.
Yeah.
It was just that Washington game in particular. Chase Young just abused him. He just slapped him as he ran by and just made play after play after play. It was embarrassing to watch.
You will get no disagreement from me. Yeah. Ellie, the number 3 pick was Kendrick Green, and this was one that I have no problem saying I didn't see this coming. I had seen Green play a little bit this year, saw a little bit of Big Ten action, and I thought, boy, here's a good athlete, kid playing hard there in the middle, but I didn't think anything further than that, so I'm not going to pretend like I did. I'm going to assume you were probably surprised once you dug into it. Did it make sense to you, or are you still kind of like, what the hell's going on?
I would say there were a lot of. I had to look into it because I too was like, who? When he came up on the board, but I was like, okay, cool. Well, let's look into it. So I did a little bit of looking into it. I noticed that there are some really good qualities. The number one quality that I saw, which I was like so just overwhelmed with joy, was the follow through on his tackles. He will go to the very ends of a tackle to complete it. Love that. That's just what you want especially from a center. You want someone who is just immovable, just brilliant. But I do notice a lot of people are talking about his size, and also I think one of the other things that a couple of people picked up on is his. I'm not sure if it was his. I think it was his speed. People were saying that he does occasionally get beaten, especially by bigger guys who typically shouldn't be faster than him, but they seem to be. But he is a little bit smaller. Maybe we have been spoiled with Pouncey in the past, so it's a little bit of a difference. But I was surprised. I think this whole draft was very unusual to what we're used to. The first 4 picks being, or was it first 3 or first 4 picks that were offensive on the offense?
First 4.
The first 4.
Yep.
That was a surprise in and of itself. And then to have no wide receiver, which is our crux position in the draft, I was like, wow, we really are switching it up this year. So do I hate the pick? No, not at all. But was I surprised? Yes. But I think I was surprised piggybacking off the fact that we had not taken someone a center in the second. Mm-hmm. So anybody coming in that position from any draft pick onwards was going to be a surprise to me, because I genuinely thought center in the second or somebody on the line in the second.
I think that makes perfect sense. I think the second pick then led to a different kind of reaction with the third pick. So I think they run very parallel to each other in that sense. Ben, you kind of alluded to it. You think this is a guy who probably isn't going to do much this year? I mean, he might help out a little bit, but
I'm not saying that. I'm not going that far. Yeah. But a couple of things. One, somebody told me about Kendrick Green early in the process and said that I should be paying attention to him. And this was somebody I respect, and I blew it off. Because I was like, whatever, man. That guy's a 3rd or 4th round guard. Yeah. And you're talking about him as the next Steelers center. Mm-hmm. I think he's going to be a work in progress, and here's why. And I know that you read on Twitter that he's a plug-and-play center, and it's going to be no problem. He's going to be a starter right away out of the gate. Mm-hmm. I don't think so. Mm-hmm. Okay. Here's the deal. He had 33 starts in college, which is impressive. It is.
Very, very good. Solid. Yep.
4 of them were at center. 4. He played 5 total games at center, 4 starts. Okay? That's number 1. Number 2, yes, he's undersized. He's a little under 6'2". Mm-hmm. Pouncey was 6'5", okay, for reference. Yeah, 6'5" guy, even with similar length of arm, is just going to be longer. He's going to play longer. He's going to be able to keep guys away from the line of scrimmage and away from his body easier.
Yes.
That's just the way it is. It's just physics, guys. Green is very quick, especially in the short area. Pretty good change of direction. Not great, but pretty good. He's a better athlete than Pouncey, in my mind.
Yeah.
He can run block. He can't really pass block very well. He's going to be a work in progress there. And NFL teams are going to test him. They're going to shade him. They're going to go to one of his shoulders, and they're going to try and go right up the gut and challenge him to beat them. And he's going to struggle for a while. So, and it's no disgrace. I want people to understand this. If he does not start week 1, that does not mean this is a bad pick. Right. It means this is a guy making a transition from guard to center. And he has to work a little bit to get there. So I know that Joe Blow on Twitter, again, told you that he's plug and play, no problem, great pick. Nah, probably not. This is a long-term pick. They're looking at this guy to develop into a good center who can play the outside zone. It's almost a certainty they're going to go that direction now, given the fact that they chose him and they chose more. They chose guys that will fit that scheme. And, he's going to be an ascending player. He's not going to be a guy that, in my mind, comes right out of the gate and is a contributor immediately. And that's again, there's no shame in that. There really is not.
No. And you know what? If he does, then more power to him. But I'm with you. I think that's the position he's in. He's going to need some time. They got to work with him and go from there. So the 4th round saw the Steelers double up on Aggies. They had, of course, Dan Moore, the offensive tackle, and then the linebacker, Buddy Johnson. We'll get to him in a second. But Dan Moore is a large individual, about 6'6", 311 pounds. Lots of experience, especially in the SEC. Played all the top pass rushers in that conference. Ellie, I'm going to assume them taking a tackle here was probably the least surprising thing. But where did you come out on this?
Yep. I mean, it was necessary.
Yeah.
That's about as much as I could say about it. There was definitely a point where I was like, okay, eventually we will have to pick someone for this line. If we don't hurry up, they're going to all be gone. So, I don't really know much about him. I'd be lying.
Ian loved the pick.
Yes, Ian did love the pick. I did see that. So that's encouraging because usually Ian likes good players. So I was okay with that.
Well, Ian's a football dork, so yeah, there's that.
Yeah. Well, he's an big athletic guy. I mean, I think there's a lot of upside there. But, again, I think a lot of Steelers fans were just assuming, oh, hey, we're just going to draft guys, plug them in there. They're going to be starters for the next, 10 years. I don't know.
That's what everybody thinks. Well, I don't want to say everybody. That's what a lot of fans think about every draft.
It's true. It's true.
And it's just not
right
the case.
No, it is. It's not. I'm just going to leave it at that. It's not even close to the case. I don't need to say anymore.
If you hit on 3 or 4 guys in every draft class, and they turn out to be good, solid, productive players, that's a good draft class.
Yep, you're doing great. Yeah. What did you get a chance to look at more at all, Ben? What?
I did. Yeah. I knew kind of who he was before the draft. I didn't delve into him as deeply as Ian had pre-draft. He's got a good left tackle's body. Mm-hmm. He's tall and I don't want to say thin, but he's in shape. He's not a big fat guy, which a lot of linemen are. He's got long arms. He's more of a finesse guy than he is a power guy. Ellie, Tomlin basically tipped his hand and said that Chooks is going to be the left tackle to start camp.
He did?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, and he did.
That Banner that basically leaves him at right tackle, which is fine. He's much better suited to be a right tackle.
I think so.
Yes, I remember you saying.
Yeah, he is. I think that Moore is more than likely going to be kind of a Tony Hills type guy that is a backup tackle for his entire career. He has pretty good sets. He's a finesse guy. He's not a power guy. He'll do okay in the run. He'll be a little better in pass protection. Probably more of a swing tackle long term than a starter, in my opinion. But I mean, hopefully, he gets in and works his ass off and proves me wrong.
Does he have a chance to be that swing tackle sooner rather than later?
I don't think he will be this year.
Okay.
I think they're going to try and go with a vet presence this year because they have kind of a young line, youngish. I mean, they still have DeCastro.
Right.
But that's really it on the line as far as leadership goes. They signed Joe Haig to be a swing lineman. I think he sucks. I'll just put that out there.
The tape isn't impressive.
His tape is tragically awful. It is just. I was like, why did you guys really have no money at all? Do you? This is just wow. No, he sucks. Sorry for being so negative, but I truly call it like I see it. I try to call the good and the bad, and he is awful. So, hopefully Dan Moore will develop quickly because
they may need
I don't think week 1 that he's going to be a guy who gets a helmet.
Okay. I mean, that's you're getting into the 4th round, and that's possible at that point. So, I mean, you'd love it if they do, but the expectation more often than not is they probably don't. Just a reminder, you're listening to the Steel City Blitz Steelers podcast presented by DEK Roofing Incorporated of South Florida, serving Broward and the southern Palm Beach counties. Whether it's commercial, residential, multifamily, or condos, contact DEK Roofing today by visiting dekroofing.com. And if you want one of our sweet Steel City Blitz DEK Roofing beer koozies. I suppose you could use it for pop, but or soda? Who would do that though? You just let me know and hit me up on Twitter or on email, and I will send you one of those babies for free. Just let me know. The second pick in the fourth round was linebacker Buddy Johnson, Ellie. I don't know about, the way things are in Britain, but I really like people named Buddy. I just think there's a quality to them. And I think this guy is going to be a Steeler for a long time. I'm not saying he's going to be a superstar. I just think he's got these qualities that will keep him around a while. What do you think about Buddy Johnson?
You're right. He has a great name. So if he's not a Steeler for a while, I'll be disappointed on that alone. I mean, again, I don't really know that much about him, and I don't want to pretend that I do, but I understand the pick. I wasn't upset with it, and I saw a pretty overwhelming good response, I thought.
Yes.
From people. Maybe it's just the people I follow, but that seemed to be one of the more popular picks. So a good sign, I guess. But then again, whose opinion really matters anyway, I guess, other than the Steelers themselves. But I liked him, and I'm happy to have him as a Steeler, and he seems good. But again, I don't know a whole lot about him.
Okay. No, that's totally fair. I just view him as a guy that he's going to be an immediate impact on special teams, and you hope that he can perhaps be a reserve, linebacker and spell guys when necessary, and maybe work into something. But Ben, what did you see from Buddy?
A high character guy, outstanding human being.
Yep.
Not a cover linebacker, which is what I was hoping they would get.
Agreed.
More of a Adrian Williamson type guy who's
he
okay
can go sideline
to
he goes sideline to sideline, but he doesn't cover well.
He's okay at a lot of things, but he's not really good at anything.
Right.
That's the way I would describe him, but a really, like I said, a high character guy. Larry Foote was like this coming out of Michigan, and I think he was a 5th round pick.
True.
And he had a pretty good career. And I like Johnson better than I like Dan Moore. A lot better as a prospect. A thick guy, thicker than big. Is that? Yeah, I mean, that's probably the best way I can describe him.
He's 6 foot, so I mean,
he's a hair over 6 foot, and he's like 230 pounds.
Yeah.
So he's not a little guy by any stretch of the imagination. But they obviously prioritized character in this draft.
Absolutely.
Every guy they've chosen to this point in the draft is a high character pick.
Yeah.
And, Buddy Johnson in particular.
Yeah. Ellie, when you saw the Steelers had traded to get back into the 5th, when you saw they had traded to get back in the 5th round,
were you excited?
Well, Ben, everyone's excited for a trade, but no. What did you think? What was your immediate reaction? Okay, we're taking and what did you think we were going for?
To be honest, I wasn't really sure what we were thinking, and then when they called Loudermilk, I was like, who? And also the initial reaction was like the same as probably everyone, which was like, who the kind of person, who is this? And then I went on and I was like, okay, well, maybe he had maybe other teams were high on him or something. And I looked, and it was like the overwhelming response, when I Googled him and stuff, it's like nobody had really mentioned him. And I was like, okay, maybe they see something in him, there's some kind of secret.
They announced him as a linebacker.
Well, yes, and I was going to get into that. But first of all, I would just like to add that Loudermilk makes him sound like an 80s movie bully or something like that. Loudermilk, But this was funny because Jerry Dulac mouthpiece for the Steelers. He made it sound like they were going to play him an outside linebacker. Okay?
Because they announced him as a linebacker, and he played defensive end and defensive tackle.
Mm-hmm.
He's 6'8".
He's 6'7",
293.
He played. Okay, he was 293 at Wisconsin. 295 is what they listed him at. He was at 274 at the combine when he weighed in. He got down to 270 by the draft, and he wanted to play end. And so they announced him as a linebacker, which I don't understand.
No, crazy.
And then they immediately went back, and Carl Dunbar's like, "No, he's mine. He was my pick."
Right. So what are they going to do with him, Ben? I mean, at that size, is he like a mini version of Dan McCullers?
No, no. He's they're going to have him put weight back on, get back over 300 pounds.
Yep.
And they are going to have him play 5 tech. I mean, basically, Dunbar said he'll play everything from defensive end and nose tackle. I don't see this guy as a nose tackle.
No.
He's got a really long body.
Short arms though.
Yeah, relative to a 6'7" guy, Ellie. Yeah, but he's 6'7".
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He does have short arms for a 6'7" guy. But that doesn't mean that he's got short arms. That's basically all I would say. But yeah, he was projected by most internet draft boards, and this is the key. Mm-hmm. The Steelers don't give a shit about internet draft boards.
No, they do not.
But by most internet, quote-unquote, draft experts, he was projected as a UDFA.
Yes.
And the Steelers traded back into the draft to take him in the 5th, and they traded a 4th-round pick next year for it.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, I pretty much hate the pick.
They quantified it. They quantified it as saying that they were uncomfortable with 100 picks between that. Buddy Johnson,
you're right,
and the
Ellie.
Next pick, that they felt that if they'd have already had another 4th-round pick, they would have taken him. That's what they said. So, I mean,
that's
liked how him. They justified it.
They liked him a lot, and they did not think he would still be there in the 6th. And, I get it. I just don't like trading future draft resources for a project like this, for a guy that's a tweener. He comes in and he's too small today to play 5 tech, and he's too big to play outside linebacker, and he's not fast enough to play outside linebacker. That was the other thing that was confusing as hell when they announced the pick. I was like, what? This doesn't make any sense.
Right. No. I for whatever reason, the Steelers have looked at the 5th round, maybe I guess you could argue 6th in some cases in recent years.
But
as
the
just
5th, yes.
It's like this odd, let's throw the dice. You know?
Let's take these flyers on these guys and see if something will happen. And most of them are like, why don't you just trade it away for a pick next year?
Does he unseat Bugs?
I doubt it. Bugs
I don't think he does.
Knows.
Right. I don't know that he does.
Right. Yeah, but maybe he'll unseat Mongo.
Yeah, well, I think that's a good chance.
I'm just saying maybe. I'm not saying it's definite.
I know.
But look at the last handful of 5th-round picks: Zach Gentry, Marcus Allen, Brian Allen. Jesus,
yeah, they're just weird selections.
Yeah,
I don't
just odd.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm going to tell you right now. I like Quincy Roche out of Miami in the 6th round. I think this kid, I'm not suggesting he's going to be a superstar, anything like that by any stretch of the imagination. What I'm going to suggest is I think he has the ability to be a really, really nice backup for the Steelers. Nothing more than that. He's got work to do on run stop, but I just think he could be a decent selection there. Ellie, what did you find out when you looked into Roche a little bit?
His tape is really fun. He is.
Yes, it is.
He's a really fun player to watch, and I really enjoyed looking at his tape. And I have a friend who's a big Miami fan, and he was so happy that we had ended up with him. So that made me feel really good because, I mean, obviously he's biased, but he's also seen him play the most. So I take his opinion of it pretty high. So I was excited. I think he seems like, I don't know, I felt like a good vibe from that pick and thought it was good. I also thought that was a pretty good steal. I was kind of surprised he was there in the 6th.
I was too.
I agree.
He was giving me some earlier pick impressions.
His agent told him he might go in the 3rd.
Ouch.
Well, his agent did him dirty, but I
yes,
would have said late 4th, maybe somewhere around there, total potential. He's a good player and he's pretty large. I think he's 6'3" or something. And he's
ideal size
fast too. And I think he was a defensive player of the year a couple years ago.
He was at Temple, graduated early, and then went over to the U,
Miami.
Yeah.
So I was really I'm happy with that pick actually.
I am too.
Pick. Yeah.
I am too.
This was my favorite pick. First, his name is Quincy Roche.
Oh, I'm sorry, Roche.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yes,
and
Roche.
He's a little bit light at this point.
Yes, he is.
Just a little. I mean, he could put on 5 or 10 pounds, maybe. But yeah, I think this guy has got a shot to come in and compete for playing time this year as the 3rd outside linebacker. Yeah. I really believe that. And if nothing else, he will see time on special teams in 2021. Yeah. Maybe as soon as week 1.
Yeah, I'm telling you right now, if he can do anything better than Cassius Marsh, I'm fine with it.
It isn't just that. This guy could really, I mean, as a pass rusher, as an active player with a high motor, he's got a lot of things to like. I'm really shocked he was still there in the 6th round.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Really shocked.
Both of you. Yeah. In round 7, they of course had 2 selections, and this was a guy that I think a lot of people had available there to the Steelers. I know. I think I had him in one of my earlier mocks. Trey Norwood, more of a corner type. The Steelers have said they'll play him at safety. Yeah. Ellie, did you have a chance to look at him at all? Kid out of Oklahoma.
No, I didn't. So I don't know anything about him.
Okay. Yeah. No sweat. I mean, led co-leader in the Big 12 with interceptions this past year. Why are they going to move him to safety, Ben?
Well, because he's not a very good corner. just being honest.
Well, can he play slot though?
In a pinch, he's better suited in my mind. He's a young player with good instincts.
Yep.
He's best suited to play free safety, which is where they're going to put him.
Right.
They'll have him learn both spots, but they're going to put him at free safety and have him learn that spot and back up Minka. And we need another free safety. My gosh, we need another free safety. So
no doubt.
I'm good with it. I really like this pick a lot, especially in the 7th round. I'm like, okay, well, this is okay. I'm good with this. He's also played both positions. He's played safety and corner. A lot like Cam Sutton coming in, who'd played a lot of positions in college. This guy's played all the positions in his college. It indicates that he's got some smarts. The Steelers obviously felt that he had some smarts because you've got to have those to play safety.
Yes, you do.
And they're going to put him in there as that guy. I really like that pick for that reason. Good value. Really good value.
No, it's a good way to put it. Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think if you can get special teams play out of him and use him when necessary, which hopefully isn't often on defense.
If he's like a 5th safety this year, this is a guy who'll develop over the long term and be a contributor for the Steelers, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah. The final pick was punter Presley Harvin III. This pick. This is, man, I'm telling you what, this kid better damn well make the team because I'm going to be so disappointed if he doesn't. This kid's got a massive leg. He's a monster of a human being for a punter. What's he go about? 250, 260?
5'11", 263.
Yep. Surprisingly good athlete.
Well, he was an elite shot putter in high school.
Yeah.
I posted a video of him doing squats.
Oh, that's right.
2019 at school at Georgia Tech, squatting 455 for three. Full squats all the way down, all the way up. None of this cheating shit you see a lot in the gym. Ellie knows what I mean. See,
I do.
I mean, this kid is a monster. He really is. It's really impressive, especially for a punter. If somebody, remember Dan Sepulveda? When somebody would get away from the coverage and the punter is the safety on the punt team, and you would almost cringe right before the impact when Sepulveda would tackle the guy. You'd go, "Oh God, it's gonna be God! Oh Jesus, God!" How many punt returners did Sepulveda leave on the grass and just trot off the field? And they're laying there going, "Oh my God,
twitching.
I just got hit by a punter."
That's what this guy's going to do. He may kill somebody on the field. He is a big, big man, and he's got a big leg, 49 average in the ACC last year. So, I mean, Ellie, I'm going to assume you've seen the
length. It's about a 5-second hang time, man.
Oh yeah, there's a stewardess on this ball.
Yeah, for real.
I mean, was it time, Ellie, in your opinion, to get a punter and move on from Mr. Berry?
I mean, the amount of people that absolutely annihilated Jordan Berry after that pick on social media was painful. I thought, my God, that poor man. But you know what? I mean, we begrudgingly brought him back last year, I think. So I think this one didn't come too much as a surprise. And then to see that the man can throw a football and throw a touchdown, I was like, Ben's successor and Jordan Berry all rolled into one.
I mean, honestly, how many 7th-round picks turn into contributors in the NFL anyway? This guy almost certainly will.
Yeah.
Almost certainly. I don't know why anybody would bitch about this pick. I don't get it.
No. And if you don't select him here, he's going to get a pretty good offer from somebody as an undrafted free agent. Absolutely. And the Steelers will never get him. So I that's why I like it even more. I think it was a very smart play by the Steelers to do this. Now, obviously, it doesn't look great if he doesn't make the roster, but I feel good about him doing this. I really do.
I think he's going to win the roster spot. It's not going to be a Colin Hoba kind of a thing.
Right.
I really don't see that coming.
No, I'm with you. I don't
either.
Agree. So let me ask you guys, Ellie, are the Pittsburgh Steelers a better football team today than they were a little over a week ago? And I know that's a tough question.
I mean, oh gosh, that's such a tough question because, I like to be the sort of person who's like, well, we haven't seen them play yet. So
I totally, that's the way I am usually. But
if you were to ask me based on paper, I mean, did we address all of the glaring issues? No. Could we have done it in just this one draft? Also, no. Did we necessarily take the best of every oh God, that's such a hard question. It's a hard question because you could argue if we'd have gone O-line first and weapons second, we'd have had weapons that you could say were not as good, but the O-line at least would be stronger, but no one to really work with. Then you've switched, but they've gone the other way. There's the weapon, but do they have the protection? Not necessarily. Right. So it really, either way, and we all know it, either way, a group of people are going to be disappointed because I feel that this year, the fan base is very split between what they wanted. Do I think they're a better team? That remains to be seen.
That's fair.
Yeah, I can't answer that question because I truly don't. First of all, I won't lie and say I know enough about each of these draft picks. That would be a false statement.
Yeah.
But of the ones I know, I do see more positives than negatives. However, I do think that we miss the mark on some glaringly obvious issues, particularly I think as well on the defensive side of the ball. There's a lot of there's some holes there, and there's some I can't think of
where do you see holes?
Corner depth,
nickel,
especially slot. Yeah,
nickel
corner.
Yeah.
We need a nickel. I agree.
Yeah.
I think the plan is pretty clear, though. They're going to start Sutton outside, and on passing downs, they're going to move him inside. So really, the competition is going to be to see who is going to be the backup outside corner, who's going to be the first guy to come in on the field and play outside.
And just since you mentioned that, Justin Lane, of course, got in some trouble in Ohio with the authorities there, and he pleaded to some things, got some other things tossed, and Kevin Colbert spoke today on that and just said obviously they're disappointed, but they still are very high on him and have plans for him. So, and Ben, I think you saw that as well, and
basically it means they're not drafting a corner. Or signing a corner.
Signing a corner anytime soon. Yeah. So, So Ben, do you think this team is a better team after the draft?
In some respects, yes. In others, no. Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. Are they better after the draft? Yes. Are they a better team than they were week 17? Maybe. In some places, yes. In some places, no.
Yeah.
I think every pick, except for the first round, was a long-term type pick where they're going, this guy can contribute in the future, not now.
Yeah.
I would have you only have Ben for one more year. Okay. Let's say he plays lights out this year. Maybe you got him for 2 more years. And that's it. And your window's closed. And for those of you like Ellie, who didn't watch the Steelers in the 80s, I'll just tell you, the wasteland of the no franchise quarterback, it sucks. It fucking sucks. You are all going to learn a new appreciation for Ben Roethlisberger. No. You're going to be like, I cannot believe I ever criticized this guy for anything at all, ever. Oh, man, I didn't know how good I had it.
Oh, I bet.
It's painful.
Mark Malone, Bubby fucking Brister.
Yeah, to name a few. Yeah, well, I think the team is better just when you put Najee back there. But again, I guess that can probably be relative. How much better is going to depend on those young men up front. In terms of, it has been,
I think he will help them do their jobs. I do.
I think he will too.
He's a good pass blocker.
Yeah.
He's good in the passing game as a receiver, which will tie up at least one defender on passing downs to see if he's going to roll up out of the backfield, where last year we really didn't have that. Yeah. He's got good vision. He's going to find the hole. If they can make one, even a little hole, he's going to find it. So he'll help them in a lot of respects. He's going to make the line better because he's that kind of a talent. But that line is not better than it was week 17. It's just not. They lost Pouncey. He didn't have a great year last year.
No.
But to not say that he was a respectable NFL offensive lineman in his last year in the league would be misstating the situation.
Well, we also have to state that Zach Banner is still a relative unknown.
Yeah, I think Zach Banner run blocks pretty well. I think that his pass blocking isn't great, but I think he's a work in progress too. He'll get better.
Yep.
He's gotten leaner too. If you've seen pictures of the guy lately, I'm like, wow, dude.
Yeah, he's done a great job.
I'm more concerned with Chooks, to be perfectly honest. I don't think that Chooks is really an upgrade over Al. And Al was awful.
Yeah. Al spent a lot of time in Ben's lap.
Al was, And people keep saying, well, Al only gave up 2 sacks last year. Yeah, Ben got rid of the ball and averaged at 2.3 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How many times did Ben get hit?
Somebody, I can't remember who it was, made the most amazing joke about, so you know that Al had said something about the TikTok thing.
Oh, yes.
Somebody made a comment that was like,
let's please talk about that.
Finally, Juju knows what it feels like to be Ben and get blindsided by Big Al.
Oh, that's terrific. Kudos to whoever threw that out there.
Since Ellie brought up the TikTok thing, I just want to. I know Mark doesn't agree with me, and whatever, he's wrong. Listen, guys,
always them.
These guys are all friends. Okay,
they are.
David DeCastro and Al would carpool to work together. The Kevin Zeitler will be an upgrade thing. Was him breaking DeCastro's balls.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Al taught Juju how to drive. Al was in a lot of those dumb TikTok videos.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? He's breaking his balls. These are just guys giving each other a hard time. And Steelers fans love drama. I don't get it.
Yeah.
Steelers fans love fucking drama. Steelers media, of course, loves drama because they have something to write about.
Right.
But Steelers fans love drama. This is not a big deal. It's not a big thing. I don't know why we're making a big deal out of it.
Mm-hmm. I'm guilty. I jumped on it. I thought it was stupid. I didn't like
dumb.
it. Yeah, but I jumped on it.
It's a guy breaking his friend's balls because he had an opportunity to do so. So he's like, so as long as I've got your attention, I'm going to break my friend's balls.
Yeah, well, and let's be honest, Al doesn't exactly have microphones in his face very often either.
No. And let's be honest about something else. If it was me in that position, I'd do it to all of you.
Well, there's a real surprise. For God's sakes, yeah. Holy cow. Well, we will continue to be with you throughout the off season. The mini camp dates were announced today. I don't have them in front of me, but the Steelers, of course, will be added at some point with some of that stuff. And as we work our way to the summer and eventually to training camp, and of course, next week is the big schedule release coming up, I believe, on Wednesday. Or is it Wednesday? Yeah, I think it's Wednesday. And we'll break that down next week. Take a look at how bad the NFL is screwing the Steelers once again, by more than likely sending them to a Monday night game against the Chargers, and then have to return to a Ravens
Thursday night game at home.
Right? Yeah, something like that. So fucking hits me off. In any case, that'll wrap it up for tonight. Thanks so much to both Ben and Ellie. And I think this is where I kind of say that whole, and hey, go Steelers.
And hey, Ravens suck.